Hi, I'm Sèphera Girón, and I'm going to read you a little tiny snippet from Pisces, Teacher's Pet, which is from my Witch Upon a Star series. The Pisces book is the third book in the series, but each book stands on its own. You don't need to read the other books to figure out what's happening, because each book in itself is a complete story. And then there's an overarching story for those who choose to read the whole series. There will be a payoff in the big picture as well as the small pictures. So I hope you enjoy these books and go get them. They're being published by Riverdale Avenue Books, and they are available everywhere at all romance ebooks, at Amazon, Kobo, Smashwords, you name it. These books are there. There's always sales and deals with them as well, so keep your eyes out for giveaways and contests. And like today is the solstice, June the 20th, so there's 25% off the entire series at all romance ebooks, but that's just for today, June 20th, so hopefully you'll see this in time and you can take advantage of that. But like I said, we're always putting them on sale. I am currently working on the Taurus book, and as of this taping, the Aries book will be dropping soon, probably within the next couple of weeks. And yeah, it's all been very exciting working on these books. So here's a little snippet from Pisces Teacher's Pet. Adele is a Pisces, and she's 40-ish, and she owns a lingerie store, and she's also an art teacher. And most importantly, she is one of the witches in the coven of Hermana, which this series revolves around, and she will be casting a love spell later in the book. And so this little snippet is early in the book, within the first chapter, so you don't need to know a lot, just a little. Adele was nearly late for her art class. She taught a few times a week at the school a few blocks from the store. There were several extracurricular classes run in the various rooms on a regular basis for the residents of Hermana. Everything from sewing to seances could be learned in the evenings, if someone was willing to teach it. She hurried in and rushed to set up her easel and organize her tools. Breathless, she turned and looked around the classroom. Silently, she counted heads. Everyone was there, even Madeline. She smiled at Madeline, her Aquarius friend from Lucy circles, then turned to mark down the attendance before she forgot. The door opened and a tall, muscular, dark-haired man walked in. He stood awkwardly, his baby blue shining. His jaw was strong, a 5 o'clock shadow accenting his cheeks and chin. I'm here for the painting class. He stammered and blushed. Adele grinned at his shyness and rushed towards him. Come on in. I'm Adele, the teacher, she said. She showed him to a spot where he could take out one of the easels and set up his supplies. As the man emptied his knapsack, Adele watched him with interest. His aura swirled with magenta and green hues, with a tinge of black threading through it. He had a very young face. His partially grown-in beard gave him a boyishly scruffy look. She guessed he was in his 20s. Once he had pulled out his tools, Adele returned to the front of the class. As you see, we have a new student. Can you tell us a bit about yourself? I'm Devin, he said, and blushed again. I'm new to Hermana. I've always enjoyed painting, and well, when I heard about this aura painting class, I thought it sounded kind of cool. Adele smiled. Is there anything else you'd like to add? No, not right now, Devin said, trying to look busy with his brushes. Well, let's go around the room and introduce ourselves so that Devin feels more at home. After the introductions were finished, Adele resumed the lesson. Today we're going to explore what light and shadow mean to you. There is no right and wrong to this exercise. Just imagine something in your head with light and shadow. Try to capture how you feel about it. Madeline sighed loudly. Adele turned to look at her. Yes, Madeline? Adele asked. Always about feeling. I find it so hard sometimes. You're doing great, Adele said. Ever since you came back from your trip to California, you've come a long way. Madeline bowed her head. Thanks. It's still hard. Adele shrugged. Just do your best. That's all you can do. Madeline set to work putting brush against the paper. Adele walked around the room, listening to the sound of paint touching paper, smelling the different scents of the pigments mixed with the cologne and aftershave of her students. As she paced, she wasn't really watching what people were doing. Not just yet. She liked to give them a chance to explore what they needed to say. She only walked around in case someone had a question. She found that if she sat down while they worked, they felt less inclined to approach her. Often she'd study their auras, making mental notes for paintings she would explore in her own free time. At last, more than half an hour had passed, and she allowed herself to gaze upon her students' work. Each painting was a unique rendering of light and dark. Some chose people, others chose objects. She stopped at Devon's easel. "Oh my," she said as she stared at his painting. He looked at her anxiously. "What?" he asked. "I don't know. Can't quite describe it," Adele said as a wash of warmth spread over her. The sensation tunneled through her, awakening each and every sense in her body. Happiness bubbled through her veins. "What is it?" she asked. But as she stared at the painting, it suddenly pulled into focus. It was a landscape. Tall trees with odd-shaped leaves rimmed a purple meadow. In the distance, magenta mountains loomed higher than the canvas would allow. A pale blue brook was half finished, and rough sketches of people having a picnic on the shore was barely discernible. "Just a place," Devon said, his eyes growing wide. As he stared at her, a pull tickled at Adele's stomach and spread out down her thighs and up her breasts. The area was warm as her chakras opened wider. For the first time in a long time. "Who are you?" Adele asked. She stared at his aura. Magenta, green, yellow and blue ribbons dancing around his head. "I'm your new student," he said. "That's not really what I meant," Adele said. She gazed upon the painting once more. The sensuous pull it had on her wrapped around her body, seemingly wanting her to climb inside. It would be fun to go somewhere warm and have a picnic. The people in the picture, as crudely rendered as they were, had no clothes on, so the weather was mild. She imagined the sound of the brook when it was done. I could almost feel the soft breeze on her face. Her groin throbbed with anticipation as she stared at the rolling expanse of hills before the mountains. "Are you okay?" Devon asked. "Me?" "Of course," Adele said, giving her head a shake. "I'm sorry. I'm just not used to such a new student having such skill on the first day." "I'm not a beginner," Devon said. "I've been painting my whole life." "And it shows, and I must say, you're very fast." "Sometimes I am, especially the landscapes. They come so quickly, it's like I never draw them at all." "Almost like you're channeling," Adele said. She turned to the rest of the class. "Devon has reminded me of a topic we've not discussed in a while. Do all of you know what channeling is?" And I'll leave it there for you to pick up this book, Pisces, Teacher's Pet. It is now available everywhere. Please give it a read and see what happens between Adele and Devon. Bye.